All right, so we shall begin. Rawbat, and welcome to All Eyes on Egypt, New Jersey. Booksport, 408 Chancellor Avenue. If you're in the area, please come and sit with us as we answer questions as students of the master teacher, Baba Yanun. Before we begin to take any questions, I will read the pledge of the Sabians or Sabaeans. Ha Rahan Shaleb Musbatu, the pledge of Sabians. Nakuk Rahmun Tayuan Leye Wu-Sabat. I pledge allegiance to Wu-Sabat, Shaleb Pakatakuda Musbat Shabat, of the United Samian Tribe. Waku Muisar Zahek Masbat Wu Masa, one family of the Sirius and Orion. Hare Sahu Rakuk, Saku Hakum, Saku Fahum, which is correct, right knowledge, right wisdom, right understanding. That Hekalal Sahu Tapu Kare Jamut Sahu Nakush, which is for all right overstanding with sound, right reasoning. Again, welcome to question and answer class. Welcome to you, sister. This is your first time here?
Yes.
Okay. All right. How did you hear about us, if I can ask?
Downtown.
Downtown? Okay, show us outside propagating. Okay, good. Well, welcome. Welcome. National, feel free. We're comfortable. If you have any questions, we'll do our best to answer. More people may be coming in, but no worries about that, all right? Okay, so before I take questions, I would like to read one of the Psalms of Yanun. And let me see which number it is. I would like to read Psalm 13. 1. Let us, saviors of Wu-Sabat, rejoice. 2. O my Salah ancestors, please make me an agreeable person where I'm unagreeable. 3. Please make me kind to others when I'm not being kind. 4. Please make me forgiving when I'm not being forgiving. 5. Please make me, Ratu, calm when I am not calm and in a state of gadad, anger and rage. 6. Please make me giving when I am not giving and offering to others' needs. 7. Please make me sawubmud, truthful, when I am not being truthful to others and myself. 8. Please make me harus, caring, when I'm not being caring toward others. 9. O my Salaku ancestors, please make me, as a Sabian, a much better person in all ways. Rejoice in improvements. Again, if you had the Psalm of Yanun, that is Psalm 13. There are a particular song within this scripture that are good for everyday use. They're good to strengthen our spirits when we may feel weak, to remind us of the divinity that is inherent in each of us, should we be willing to access it. If we're on the path to self-development and evolving of the spirit, this is a scroll or scripture that you would find a comfort in as well. So if you don't have it, seek it out at your bookstores. If you do have it, again, read the ones that you want. Roll back. Yeah, come in, have a seat for as long as you can. Good to see you back. That one of these. So, again, you just get a question and answer class. So if anybody asks questions in here, you may ask at the end online, type them in. And as students of the master teacher, Baba Yanun, in the personage of Dr. Malachi, Z for B, the North, Opron, 33 degrees over 7 plate, we'll do our best to answer those questions for you. Do you see any questions on that tomorrow yet?
Actually, let me go. Yes, I just saw them.
Okay. So now to actually scroll down without, I can show you real quick. Was that the film? Look to the right. Yeah, perfect. It's perfect. All right, so here's where when they type them in, right, we just keep it like that. Yeah. Okay, good. How is that? I appreciate your help today.
What is a soul? The definition of it and is true
Caucasian do not have one.
Okay.
All right. And how do you lose your soul? Or shall I say how you save your soul?
Okay.
And that's from Sister Yvonne Herrick.
All right. Give me one moment to find the scroll. We're going to touch on the soul. Okay, right back to the first part of your questions about that. What is the soul? We have a scroll called Patsarat. And on this scroll is for soul, soul, spirit, spirit. So I'm going to read some verses that the master teacher, Bobby, I know is teaching us about the soul. Also, the soul is 1/4 of us, our divine selves. There are 4 parts. You have the physical body, you have the spirit, you have the soul, and then you have the midst, right? So the soul is 1/3. I'll also go into another bill that expresses those 4, but let's talk about the soul right as your question. All right, so the master teacher, Bobby Anu, he begins his scroll with 1. Yakun, my beloved Muwaku Parada, Muwapian children. You asked about the soul and spirit. 2. Do you know and remember all I said to you of them? And you as females and males? 3. Luapi, as I told you of Ba'ah, soul, and Rawa, soul. 4. And I spoke to you about Ka'ah, spirit, and the fast, spirit. 5. And about Akat, etheric being, and Ku, oversoul. 6. And you ask again about these parts of your existence. 1 is Pasu, the overbeing. 2 is Pa'akat, etheric being. 3, Pa-Ba'a, the creative expression being. 4, Pa-Rawa, the breath of the living being. 5 is Pa-Ka'a, the exoplasmic being. 6 is Pa-Nefas, the living being. 7 is Pa-Shatak, the physical being. 8 is Pa-Chabat-U, demigods that are children of Fanadaru, called angelic beings, which are both agreeable and disagreeable. So, that was just expressions of self. I'm gonna skip a few verses. We're gonna talk about the soul as the master teacher addresses it specifically. Okay, so I'm gonna go to verse 41. Again, if you don't have this particular Patsarak, the name of it is soul, soul, spirit, spirit, because there's 2 expressions of both. So let's go to verse 41. The master teacher Body Unknown continues. And then we look at Pa-Ba'a, the soul, the creative expression of the emotional being. And 42. And there's a counter soul called in our language Pa-Rawa, also called the soul. 43. Yet it is breath or wing and affects the body's actions. 44. It ignites with the first human breath of air or mixture of gases, ether, one breathes, the atmosphere or breath. 45. Now it's going into the Paka'ah, the spirit. So when you're talking about the soul, you have to understand there's 2 expressions. One part of the soul is if you know you have a soul, and that's the emotional part of you. That part of you that allows you to have empathy and compassion for others without thinking of the self. The second part of the soul is the part of the wing, that breath, the breathing part of the self. They merge together, but they're separate in definition. So when you're asking what is the soul, you want to address the part that makes us, Nagara Nagu, different other races or species of the planet, because we were endowed or we were created with that part of us, because we were first on the planet. So we look at all others as our children, be they agreeable or disagreeable. Understand that? So when we talk about the soul, we must first address the emotional part of us. That's energy and emotion, that emotional part that allows you to actually express kindness towards others without seeking something from yourself. You just do it as part of your first natural nature. The other part, again, is just the way. We hear about this way part, the wara of this, that's also called the soul. We hear about that in certain religions, right? Christianity being one, when they say God blew his breath into man, this being according to religion. This being that's first being personified, he's being made on the planet. God blew up his breath into this being, and that being transforms the clay thing into a living soul. So that's one expression. But when we talk about us as the God of Nagu, as children of the Nagaru, our soul is a combination of both expression of experiences of existence. That's clear. If not, type it in, you go further. But also the second part was the Picasso. Right. So when we ask were they actually born with the soul, then no. They were, but they lost their soul. We put it that way. I'm going to look for that in the Mishbushit so we can explain that. They don't have a soul. But they're not the only ones. Don't limit your thinking. It's the only Kakashi or Kakas Nadu are devoid of a soul. There are many Nagara Nadu right here, right now, walking around without a soul. We'll get into the third part of your question. How would you lose it? But let's go and see how they lost theirs. Talking about Kakashi. All right, so the master teacher is going to touch on again us and soul of the emotional beings. And we'll touch around a little more. So, the master teacher, the mission ship, is talking about all the different dimensions that exist at the same time. So, 74, all of these dimensions exist in the same space and time as does light and sound. 75, yet they operate and appear separately. 76, because of the variant particle pulsation rate of the atoms or the cells. 77, it has to do with tones or sounds as used in each word. 78, as you sing, as you chant, as you pray, or speak, the use of grammatic pronunciation of your own language. That's very important, the grammatic pronunciation of your own language. That does something by way of the soul, the tones and the sounds. So, your own language, using your own tongue, and giving voice box tones and numbers as in music. 79, something happens when we do this. It opens your imagination and access to the other dimensions of your etheric being. By your emotional being or by soul. So the fact that we as in the Nagarnaru have a soul, when we chant, when we pray, when we speak in our own language, it gives us access to the other dimensions of your etheric being. So they all there, but we don't have access to it if we're not doing the things properly in our tone, speaking our own language, living by natural nature, right? So now, what happens when you contact by way of the soul these higher dimensions? Verse 80, it activates your subconscious mind to remember when you were divine. Now, lost are the what? Now I'm the spell of sleep. So, in one, you can remember those deeply buried powers of your divine mind from your zero time records. Then it goes into particle pulsation. We want to stick to the realm of the soul, which is your question. Now, let's see if I can find where it says that the Kakasu doesn't have a soul. See if I can find it real quick. Okay. Again, did this one too, for the mission ship. It's kind of a thick Patsarak, but it goes into a lot of subjects related to the soul and spirit. The first three races on the planet, the third being Kakasu. Watch. Verse 98. The master teacher, Bobby Adnon, is talking about these beings. The Kakasu fell over the divine link to the high dimensions and regressed to a beast-like state. Right? So, 99, as the next ship comes, happening now for us, many Nagaram have mixed their DNA with lower dimensional beings, both physically and mentally. 100, they are out of tune, offline, or lineage. 101, so they will not be able to transport through space and time. 102, they will age and die on the way. It's talking about us. If we fall off the divine inlet to the high dimensions, just like the Picasso did, when it's time for us to transport to the high dimensions, we will not be able to because we mix physically and mentally with the lower dimension being. When that happens, that means we don't have enough etheric potency or power to get through the different planes. We become too heavy to exist on the higher, faster moving, and lighter dimensions. So, how can we avoid that? Us losing our soul. 103. They, us, the God, must be clean inside out and outside in. This does not mean if you have mixed ancestors, you can't make the trip to Razakat or Risk, the eighth planet in the new star system, the 19 galaxies. 104. Not at all. It has to do with you, the person, cells, right here, right now, in your own zero-time reference. So the next person I'll stop is very important. 105. What you do with your body and your mind now affect how you link to your ancestors and your races, Salalu, your Salafu ancestors, and it reach them in other realms. So it's very important that we watch what we consume mentally, physically, by way of foods, drinks, intoxicants, certain things that we do daily that we may not actually think is hurting us. Remember, in this universe, this is a state or the existence of duality. So whatever we do physically is going to affect us spiritually. So you take your spiritual ability to travel by the things you put in your body that are not beneficial to you, right? So when you're talking about the Kakasu, how they lost their soul, one of the reasons is when they were made and not created, they were made, their genes were also mixed with different species of animals. And then they fell off that divine link to the higher realms because these animals that they actually were mixed in don't have the capacity or the ability to get up there, right? So now, for the Kakasu, who may say, hey, I like Ruwatu, I like Wu-Sabat, I like the Weedics, they can accept Wu-Sabat. There's nothing wrong with that. We don't close the gates to anybody. They can accept Wu-Sabat, right? And if a female of the Kakasu race mixes with the male of the Nadu called the Nagaru race, she can be raised in etheric vibrations where she can go. The only one who definitely cannot go would be the Picasso male. So they lost their soul just by their very making. What constructed their cells, they actually lost their soul. They were not able to do it. With the female of the Picasso race, she can be raised in etheric vibration and she can make it. And she is with the Nagaru male too.
Isn't it not true that the Garo mixes with a Mukasu?
Okay.
Does he not sacrifice himself?
He will. He will drop the vibrations because he's giving of his essence to her, right? Now, if they separate and he gets back with the Nagaru female and they commingle, they do the genetic kiss, he can be raised back up. But when in the act of her mixing with that lower dimensional being, the transference of energy will go to her and she will actually be able to raise up. That's right. Right. Okay, we have any other questions? Okay, if I answer the question, yes.
I have two questions. Okay, and in reference to you talking about you're sticking on, Chi on, being clean inside and out. Two questions on that. One, is there a time when the Wu-Sabat culture fast? And the second one is, what is it that the Wu-Sabat culture do not eat?
Okay. Now, the first part of your question be asked, does do us a Sabi yes? The answer is yes. I'm going to go from the major ones down to the more personal ones. All right? Let me know when you're ready. Okay. So we have the major one, which is the first 3 days of every month. We fast. First, second, and third. Right? The more personal one, which may be different for all of us in this room, but the more personal one is you find out what day you were actually born. That's considered your zero-time reference. So if you Google, say my birthday, what day was August 8th, 1963? I found that it was Thursday. You can Google it, yours may be a Tuesday. So what you will do is you'll fast every Tuesday, whatever day that is that you literally offspring from your mother's behind her womb. She yielded you come out onto land. Whatever day that was, that's the day that you pass every week. Jack.
Question behind that.
Yes.
Being that the calendar has been adjusted, tampered with like everything else, but there's none of us really know the day that our birthday or when we were born. So how do I do that?
Because the day that it was recorded, be the day that your intentions will do the act. So your intentions will quantify the error in the actual time. Now, we wouldn't have that issue, which is a very good question. We wouldn't have that issue if we were all home and calculated time by way of the sun only. No leap years, no seasonal changes, no scrape forward, fall back into time. We would just go by natural time, which is by way of the sun, and then we would know, right? But as we don't, we can only go by what was recorded. When we personify physically, the recorded timeline on this part of the world, because it's different other places, was that day. So you would use that day with the intentions of saying the day that my zero time reference as well here was this day, and you fast that way, right? We also had 2 other times that we fast during the year, but they're not obligatory. This again is a personal decision if you want to actually do it as of all, but it's called the 9-day purification ritual in the winter or the winter solstice. Then you had the 9-day purification ritual, which is called the summer solstice, which is coming up. I'll let you know what's coming up for 9 days. Oh, I got.
I'm trying to record you, but it stops recording the minute. Oh, 9 days.
Oh, didn't Courtney? Okay, did that. Yes, for a 9-day purification ritual. It happens 2 times during the year: winter solstice and summer solstice. All right. But the ones you really want to focus on that may be easier to accomplish for you right now is the first 3 days of every month. Every month, first 3 days, we fast. Also, when your zero time reference day of the week.
All right, wait, got your time. What do you do? Type in September 5th,
Whatever.
61.
Exactly. Yeah, just type in a Google piece of hidden vote back. Go and ask one of your parents about it. If that's not an option, just go, hey, type it in. They say, oh, that fell on a Tuesday. Well, that fell on a Wednesday, right? Once you find out, also come back to us and then we can give you what your denying name is on that day. Like if it was a Tuesday, it would be Kobina for a male. We can tell you what to be for a female. All right. For me on Thursday, it's Y-A-W. So we can give you that as well. Just something that further link us into our African, our true first world culture. You know what I'm saying? So I just let us know. We'll let you know. All right.
And the second part,
So
I'm sorry.
no,
But what do Wu-Sabat culture not eat?
okay. Now, to purify ourselves inside out, we should not consume anything but parents. So that's in form of meat, right? But we also have to take into consideration that through all of this gene mixing coming down through the ages, we had certain genetic attractions to certain types of food. You have to learn to control that. And that's what the fast helps. It's dietary discipline. So let's say you eat all of the meats. Start removing one by one, right? Learn to eat more vegetables. Try to eat less healthy meals and more lighter, nutritional meals. A lot of vegetables, which has more, equal or even more proteins than meat does itself. You don't have to worry about the calcification of your bones, but that meat, when you eat that, it actually brings on the onset of things like arthritis because it calcifies the bones inside. So, it's blood meat. We're not bloodless beings. So we want to avoid those types of foods. That's it. Drink a lot of water, drink a lot of the, juices, things like that. Again, we can't shut that off because it's been programmed through our genetic, going back maybe even 4 generations or more. But what you can do by way of controlling the mind is learn diet and discipline when you would start removing them from the diet. When you may have eaten meat like 12 times a month, 1 month start with 10 times. Next time 9, next time 8. So after a while, the body, the pull, the addiction that it has for that, which is really just muscle memory, the addiction that it has for that will become weaker and weaker and weaker. So the body will find it distasteful. I say a person who eats beef burgers, they know how to make them. They're very good. They're savory. If they stop, they refrain, abstain from that for about 2-3 months, and maybe eat something lighter, like say turkey burgers. And then one day that craving hit, I want a beef burger. They will feel the difference. Their body will be offset by this reintroduction of such a heavy meat. Then you'll say, I did miss it. But that was a little craving inside saying, I want it. You have to fight those cravings till they dissipate into no longer existing within you. And it's possible. So when you say turn yourself inside out, that's what we're talking about. We were to release all these heavy things that would chain you to the planet by way of muscle memory and addiction to the lighter self, that whole light being that's inside. Let that be what people see and feel first, right? That makes the transition easier. All right? We had any other question in the room or up there? Yeah, you got to get up.
Yeah,
It's okay. It's all right. Okay, it's okay.
but I didn't see it on the phone, so
Okay, yeah. You see anything else?
Nope. Lot.
Oh, all right. Yes, for sure.
I've been keeping up and study, even though I haven't been here visited with the Wu-Sabat culture.
Right.
And one thing is confusing to me. I know that Muwapmis don't follow the biker,
Right.
but you quote the scriptures from the Bible,
Accessory.
and it's confusing.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let me help you with that. The reason why, as Sage or the WAP is, we had a lot of biblical references is because our family is still under that spell. So we had to be able to explain the Bible to them in a way that none of their preachers or reverends or pastors had, because they're limiting what they teach their congregation to English. And you notice in our scrolls, and we get biblical references, we get the language as well. So we can say, okay, what they're saying in English is this. And when you look it up, that word doesn't mean that. So now who's purposely deceiving the congregation? Why? So, right, we don't adhere to any of the religions, be it Christianity, Islam, or Judaism. We know that our family members are still there. But once we learn, it's our job, we go and teach, at least share with them if they have an open mind to receive us. Sometimes that spell of sleep, that spell of separation is so strong within them that it will fight you, because the 90th inside you hears it, but the mixing in with the 60th hears it too. And that begins a war. They will fight you, the 90th being, because the 60th being doesn't want to get exercise out of that person. They want to remain in those mentally and spiritually. Whether they do the research, maybe not even in your presence. You might say, hey, it's this or that, right? They go, nah, get away from me. But when you do get away, in those quiet moments, sometimes it comes back. Or certain things will happen to them and they go, wow, my sister told me that, my auntie, so, you know what I'm saying? So we got to just be patient with them. We don't badger them, but it's here for them should they want it. So that's why you see a lot of biblical references, because it is common ground with the person in those religions. Because if they're really studying, they go, I know that verse. You say, okay, you know the verse in English. What was it in the Semitic languages that it was revealed in? And why is it different? And they leave them. You know, why is it different? Think about that. We're talking, what you make at the end of the night? You know, you kind of keep that open line of communication. So the thing with us, the reason that you even want to share that with them is because, as you said before, your soul is active. So you are an emotional being, and you have that energy that you want to share with them because you want to help them as well, right? We don't take this Wu-Sabat, we don't take the coaching, we don't take the right knowledge and cuff it. We don't hide it. No, we want to share it. But if they don't want it, or they don't accept it, we have to leave them where they are and give them time, because everybody is being watered by this right knowledge, rather than know it or not. And as they are just seeds, and as you water that, it may bloom a little later than yours. It can only book once they catch on and realize that it's just still around to share with it, because you have moved on to other things in life where they just can't even see you. Like you may just move somewhere geographically, they can't get you. So, you know, it's important that we deliver the message. Question is asked, you know, that we do. And that's why it's this biblical verses, there's Quranic verses, all of that, because we have a universal doctrine which predate all of these religions, which is our culture. A lot of people don't realize that culture existed prior to religion being instituted, because all three of them are coming from Zoroastrianism or Sumerian doctrine, and they each placed one man who said he's the receiver of this doctrine. And so it's one high prophet, all of that, and said, hey, God Yahweh, Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, talk to me. Or you say this messenger is angel, not knowing that Saba, as Sabians or SKBT, Sabt or Sabat, where we're from, that word means heavenly hosts. We would be the personification of the angels that they're looking for. But because they've been under the spell, it won't immediately recognize that. Like one of the things is lack of love of self to kind. You look like your family. So I knew you was loved. If you all of a sudden you get this. However, not all of a sudden are you still there.
Yeah.
Right?
I've had that experience.
Unfortunately, you all have, but it's okay. You still do what you do. You still study, you learn, and what they ask. Because after a while, what happens is they come, many of our fam, after the first initial rejection, because they think to listen to us means to turn their back on who they call deity. And that's a fear factor. No one wants to say, oh, I'm cutting my God off. But when you realize your God is inside already, but when they come to that realization that you are the only one that can answer the questions, by giving them those answers, you spark their soul to want more answers. It's just that the me gets shot. What you say kind of gives them pause, right? But time eases all of that. Yeah. Yeah, the brush them all.
Yeah, brother, Rakame, Mayu Sami, Rob down on that, and finally, Ray's attack.
Yes.
So good. The question is there a way to materialize your ancestors to the physical eye? What practice should we be? Okay, which should we do besides our altars?
Okay. Now, along with the altars and all, because you're right, you got to set the altar up, and then you had the physical picture of the cyber relative that you want to talk to, who back his transition. That's one way. But in addition to that, what do you do when you're not at your altar? You visualize. You have to visualize them often, regularly, often. And then if you're on the right tones, as I read through the missionship, that you learn how to chant, pray, speak on your right tones, you're actually aligning yourselves up with those higher dimensions. And when you call unto them, it will come into you. Even at first, it was only mentally. However, by way of the mind's eye, you will see it. But you're asking if a spiritual being, one of your Nasab, your relatives, or your Salafic ancestors, who actually physically personified in front of you to appear physical again, that's not how the rules of the spiritual realm work, right? They will come and you will see them, but they will still be in like a more of a less dense composition of themselves. They don't have the 99 elements anymore. It's too heavy for them. So when they come here, like some beings may be able to, but they have to be spiritual masters in that realm in order to personify, slow down their vibration frequencies so that the elements will this very small, very low, very dense realm that we call Earth, the physical plane, they have to slow down so much that these elements are actually attract to the energy, right? And that doesn't always occur. So at best, in our early practices of speaking to them via the altar, via visualization, via the dream state even while you're awake and you're visualizing them, they can actually come to you and sit on the edge of your bed. But they're not going to be the physical heavy body, but they will appear real to you only because you called them and they responded. And you asked them a question and they answered. So in the mind's eye, that makes it a reality to you. But to ask if they can actually physically personify where you can pinch them, that's not something that can happen, again, unless they are actually highly evolved spiritual masters. But the thing with that, on the flip side, is the highly evolved spiritual masters then don't want to come back. Physically, they can come back mentally, come back spiritually. They don't want you. They no longer have use or need of the physical body to play the instrument of existence for them. So again, just to kind of narrow down the question and answer the best that I can, it would be very difficult for them to come back and just physically personify. Can they personify in front of you? Absolutely. Absolutely. It'll start with the altar. It'll start with the pictures. It continues with the visualization. It continues with your chants and your prayers and getting on tone. Because what happens when that happens? When you pray and chant, your chakras line up. Like all the glands in your body lined up. The 7 physical ones and the 2 esoteric or spiritual ones above you, making 9 to 12. When that happens, guess what? It passes while it's lining up. your patah, your divine eye. And when that opens, you see the world as it really is. Therefore, it is easier for them to come to you. Right? If you don't line up, or if you're just like, I want, as opposed to what you need naturally, it would take a long time for you to even feel that presence. But that's where the art of patience comes in. You have to wait and know that it's going to happen. How do you do that? By thinking it's going to happen. By the love, the emotional bond that you have with your Nasabi who have actually transitioned, you really know that they're going to come to you. And when you get on that right song, they can hear you because they're already speaking to us. We just can't hear them at all times. Every now and then you hear what you think is you, is really one of them guiding you from the other side. But you have to perceptive to that and know which ones are positive, which ones are negative, or which ones are agreeable, or which ones are disagreeable. So I pray that answered your question. It'd be very difficult for them just to discern about it because they don't want to really be bogged down with that. They don't need to anymore. They exist on a higher, more spiritual, faster, lighter plane of existence, and that's their existence now. See? But they will come to you and they will guide you. Even if it's eternally, they will guide you, but you'll know it's there because you'll be able to identify your true tone from their tone. So you know that's Auntie, you'll know that's Grandpa, you know that's Uncle saying, hey, my nephew, da-da-da-da-da. Now, again, I read earlier from Psalms. There's a Psalm again where we ask Father and Anasabu to come to us. I call out to you by your names. Once again, I call out to you by your name so no other entities can infiltrate or impersonate you. You have to lock in on them. So it's very important that we make links with our relatives while they're still physical. So those links will tie the etheric bond as well when it's time for them to come. And no disinvited spirit that wants to feel the sensation of you being happy to see them will come and impersonate one of your relatives that you love so dearly. You understand? So we have to read, it's a spiritual practice, or what we call it a ritual. When you say it slowly, ritual means right to all or right to self. You have to do things by way of the spiritual rules that are correct, that allow us to enter these higher dimensions while we're still here. We have to reconnect with our Sovereign by these chants, by these prayers, by just understanding the doctrine. Make it more than just words. The master teacher can write 1,000 abundance of books, but are you applying that? If you're not applying it, then say I'm gonna set my altar up because I was told to, but you don't understand the essence behind why if you're doing it, it will not work for you. And then some people get discouraged because they haven't developed the art of patience. And that's what certain orders up on the fan now for, so that you will learn how to wait with patience. And then when it's time to act, it'll be the right time to act, and everything will line up. Again, by turning ourselves inside out, we make that transition of meeting our relatives that's high realm. When they come down to meet and greet you, we make it a lot easier. It becomes seamless because there's nothing for them to come here. But if you're not calling them on the right tones and you're not hearing them on the right tones, then it's like you made a misplaced call. You called the wrong number.
Yeah, that's the whole question.
All right, yes.
All right. I've been trying to reach out to my grandma.
Yes.
So my question is, if your Salaf, as that raised in awareness spiritually, can they still respond to you? What if they don't realize they had transitioned via themselves?
Okay.
And if so,
Got you. I got you. I'm gonna read something for you, bro. In one more. I got you. Great. So I wrote that here. I don't. All right, so I have to go up, man. Thought I had it. Look one more time. I want to read it verbatim. For both y'all look more. Cypress of life and death. Because this question is, what if they don't know that they All right, Zamal. So you have this scroll. This is Master Secrets number 10. It's called The Cycles of Life and Death. This scroll teaches about the cycles of life and the cycles of death. So what you're saying about your grandmother that you're trying to reach, but she didn't live a physical life in Wu-Sabat or Nuwapu or any of those things, right? So she lived a life maybe as whatever religious doctrine her parents gave her, right? This is what happens when you transition. Now, some beings who do transition, depending on how they transition, they're not aware that they transition, especially if it's traumatic. They keep repeating that over and over until they burn it out. Now, this is what happens to all of us. Verse 241, the master teacher Baba Yanun, he's teaching us about what happens when we transition before soul. So verse 241, because remember, our grandmothers, grandfathers, whoever they were, they had etheric beings on the inside. Turn yourself inside out, right? Inside of us is a divine being, right? So now, 241, your etheric being as non-ether is a perfect being. And once you cross over or transition, you begin learning all there is to know. So once you begin learning all there is to know, which is the phase of existence called spiritual orientation, no matter what you live here physically, as a non-ether being, the perfect, now you're going to learn about Wu-Sabat or Nuwapu or all the culture related to your ancient ancestors in this orientation, right? So what happens after you begin to learn? 242, you're able to travel through time and space, in and out of other dimensions, which we read in the dimensional shift, right? And meet all of your ancestors. So your grandmother, once she transitioned, with her spiritual orientation, she met your whole family line. And she can go get any of them that you may want to speak to. But let's keep walking with the master teacher. So you be able to go in and out of other dimensions, meet all of your ancestors, their friends, Sadaku, and loved ones. And you become a helper who guides your unborn relatives beyond time and space. This guidance also includes you, Zamal, especially you, because you are in your culture. So you already know that the connection wasn't severed by the elimination of physical elements on this plane. It wasn't severed. She just took off her space. She went to visit. She went back home, which is our journey as well. So what happens with you in your case, of course, I can't delve too deeply into how or what you should do, but know that you can do it by the spiritual practices and rituals that we have. So once you guide your unborn relatives beyond time and space, really, from that other side, time is not calculated the way it is calculated here. It's always now to them. We calling up this now. And when they come to you, it'll be now. Even though on this side, time may have passed. They're like, wow, it's big. I've been trying, like you, tomorrow. You might say, I've been trying to contact her for some time now. You know how to talk? For some time now. So right is always now. So what happens is that the strength or the more strength you had in getting on the right tones, you'll be able to draw her closer, right? You have to do your preparation. Don't just say, I got an altar in my house, right? But your house isn't clean. This is not speaking to anybody in particular. I'm talking about period. Your house isn't clean. Or you may have animals in the home. Things like that, they won't come. So it's not that you're doing it wrong. It's just the environment is not suitable for their presence. So you have to make sure all of that is set up. On the day that you want to, let's say, you, any one of us, we want to call on our ancestors, our relatives on Sunday. Cool. Every day is Sunday, but we call it Sunday today, right? So Saturday, don't do anything that's going to inhibit the purification of your mind. It's Saturday, I'll just have one beer. No. It's Saturday, I'll just hang up into with them gates open between the hours of 2 a.m. and 3:30 a.m. Why are you up there? Right? Get your rest. Make sure your body's properly to follow it as close as you can to your circadian rhythm. What does that mean? If you're getting close as you can to that, that means the body's humming out. It's vibrating at a right pace so that the channels are open so she can come through. You have to prepare yourself to do higher exercises. You can't do three-dimensional things. You can't do physical things and expect a spiritual experience. I'm not saying you. I'm talking about all of us. We have to be at that mind state that we must always elevate before we talk to, reach out to, and expect a response from the higher dimensions. So once she's able to guide you, and she will, this is what happens to her. And it happens to her before it happens to any of us, because we're still trapped in flesh. This is what she becomes. 243. You become a bad master of both heaven and earth, of both realms. 360 degrees of this realm, the physical, and 360 degrees of the spiritual realm. That's 720 degrees, making you a deity, a divine being. As I, not me, I'm reading, as I, part of bad, yeah, I knew that. Right now, right after that verse, Bible gives us something. We all have it. We all have it. And you put it in the book again. I am in the love of all, and all love is in me. I'm a part of all, and all is a part of me. I can succeed as a part of all and fail alone. I can be all I wish to be as a part of all. All is I am. All can I can. All does I do. Then he adds another one. All did I did. So long as you know that you're doing everything that you need to do to reach those higher realms, you'll be able to say the fourth one. All did I did. What did you do? I made connection. I made contact with my higher ancestors. How do I know? Because she came to me and I saw her. I saw her physically. She slowed down her vibrations enough that you can actually see her form. How do you know? Because the imposter, the disembodied spirits, if you don't make a true connection with them, they will come and try to impersonate your relative because they want to feel that energy. It's a thing on the other side. Energy is a thing here too. You know how sometimes when a certain person come around and you feel a certain way, is either I'm happy to see them or I'm happy with their deed. No words will pass. It's just their presence evokes or invokes a certain thing between you two. It's called chaotic or frenetic energy. So on the other side, those disembodied spirits want to feel your energy because they can sense from you, even if you can't, the love you have for her. So you have to make sure that link is there. So to address the question, rather she didn't know if she didn't know about right knowledge or sound right reason or what the 90th being is, these terminologies weren't there when she's in. That's all it means. Her timeline or her time zone predated that, or she didn't want to hear it, or whatever the case may be. However, once she transitions, she begins to learn all there is to know, which is how to reach you. You have to learn how to reach her or them. Like I said, she knows all your ancestors now. So she can bring one of them with you that you don't know to give you a certain amount of information or information because it's come from outside this realm, right? Certain information, and then it will be a lesson for you. And you don't run out and tell everybody. You take the lesson and you start living it. That's the beauty of it. This is not a thing that we brag on. This is a thing that people can see in us. That's why they know we're different. They go, I don't know what it is, but something about her. The way she carries herself. I remember her, she used to do something. She don't do that now. That's because she's transforming right before your eyes, as we all must. So Zamar, you can actually rest assured she knows that you are her savior or her family line on this side, and she is your guide to this path on the physical realm or from that side. So make the link, and y'all will definitely help each other. I pray that answers the question. Tourism all that. Yes.
Now, does that come with animals in the house?
Because the animals have a certain energy. They don't have soul. They do have spirits, right? And certain animals, actually, the disembodied spirits that I was talking about, that we call lower realm beings, a lower realm. You don't go to the higher realm. You're from the lower realm. And they can watch you through them, through the cats, through dogs, stuff like that. Now, ancient Egypt, ancient times, way back when, cats were actually the protectors. Why? Because they would see them. Those disembodied spirits, right? But if you got the canine, he's more of the one that the disembodied spirits and descend into and look through and watch what you do through them. Because remember, the canine is a part of the Caucasus makeup. He's Homo canine, Homo porcine, and Homo simiate. So he had that. He's only 1/4 human. That's why it's called man's kind. So the animals you're with more in your house because the lower level spirits can actually use them. And then they had the animals, especially, well, all, I'm not gonna say like dogs and cats or whatever, they actually have a certain scent to them, right? And that scent makes the house unclean from the spiritual abode. So you won't smell it because you love their dog, you love their cat. You become nose blind to the aroma. But the people who don't have cats or dogs, when they come around you, they can smell it in your clothing. They come to your house, they can smell it. So if we can smell it with our olfactory nerves, this slow, smelly, snipping thing we call a nose, if we can smell it with that, imagine how a spiritual being would feel in the presence of that energy emanating off of these animals. So we want them to be able to come into that environment, and it needs to be devoid of anything else but your essence. That's all. It's not that we hate on animals, but why would you enslave an animal when they're meant to be free? I see you inhale when we got questions.
Yeah, that's what you were just saying. This book right here I have on my wall at home.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
And I love about the bodies. You have the head of cat, which makes me think that we are linked. And you're saying,
Right, we are. But see, those cats, those are ceremonial masks in ancient Egypt, right? They were just ceremonial. They were people who put the mask on. And then, as I said earlier, in our ancient culture, cats, right, were protectors of the pharaohs, men and women, when they were in there waiting for their transformation in the first 60 to 90 days before the soul was released in the opening of the mouth ceremony. So these cats were able to see these other lower level beings that would actually fight them off. But now the cats here are not the same. They're more domesticated. You see what I'm saying? But cats have a certain nature. Let's not be fooled. If you own a cat, you see a cat likes to sit on the top, the highest spot, and look down on, literally look down on you. You know what I mean? Cats don't like to be petted. You ever try to call a cat? The cat just look at you and walk away? Because they do have a higher self, thing, but they don't have the soul. But back in our ancient culture, they would use to protect the deceased pharaoh, or male or female, right? So let me go through. This is called the 33 commandments of the Sabians. I'm going to touch on the animals. Okay, those real Greek will find. Again, it's not, that's your choice. That's your decision. If you want cats, but like I said, you're being or dogs, forever. If you're being overly physical, then you will not really truly experience a spiritual happening. Because there are rules. Again, there's rules on the spiritual plane that can't be broken just to satisfy you because you have an affinity to have an animal that you're enslaving. Trust me. If you don't think that you're enslaving an animal, open the door. To see the cat or the dog stays. He or she run out because they want to be free, right? If a dog or cat or whatever is sick, and of course, as the owner, you're responsible. You want to take care of it, take it to the vet. What happened to the cats that are out here? How come they don't go to the vet? Because they can find what they need in nature. Even in Newark, they can find certain blades of grass that they will eat, right? And it cures them. How do they know that? Because they're not inhibited by the pampering that pet owners give them, which is out of love, but still, what I mean? They're not supposed to be subjugated like that. Neither are we. Right? Because imagine that's the same thing on a different level if we're incarcerated. We become the pet, right? The warden, the prisoners guarding us, tell us when to eat, when to wash, when we're going to go outside. It's the same thing. And if you don't like it, the cat has instincts that are related to being free. The dog has instincts that are related to being free. That's how, if your dog ever ran away, they necessarily don't have to come back. They'll adjust. How? Because it's instinct that takes over. So let's read slate number 8. And math teacher begins with Anuki Yake Anuki, which translates in English, I am who I am. Yeah, nobody's going to know. Yeah, let me read that. I got questions. All right. I'm going to address them. All right. 1. Fear no one. Nope, I don't want to read out. That's no problem. That's a short one, for sure. Okay. Oh, here we go. Slate 9. I apologize to those who are taking notes. It's slate 9, not 8. Now, Anuki Yake Anuki, I am who I am. 1. We do not, the Sabians, we do not enslave animals or call them pets as if they have no choice. 2. Especially not porcines, simians, apes, or monkeys. 3. Or canines of any breed. 5. Or reptiles, lizards of any kind. 5. Unlike the Mu'adabu or the Adamite, who are genetically related to them. I just said they were made with these Homo porci, Homo canine, a Homo simian. That's the Muslim. So, 6, we have no need to rule or enslave creatures and then call them my pet, even rename them. 7, you can't have animal smells in your home where you had the altar to your ancestors. 8, you can't pray at a place where animals dwell or visit. 9, never let an animal's saliva into your body. 10, living with animals will make your sense of smell change. 11, or become defective. You can't recognize odors as recurring. So not just the pet odors, just odors in general will be able to recognize it. 12, as you become used to scent. 13, dogs are wolves, carnivores, beasts, not pets. 14, saliva exchange affects your DNA. Don't kiss animals. 15, people live on the streets and have no food while you feed pets. 16, do not be cruel to human beings. 17, do not be cruel to animals. 18, human beings are also animals. Sawab, Hawun, Sawab, which translates as truth is truth, right? So the connection with the altar and the animals has to be, your altar has to be in a clean place. An environment has to be, it has to be, this is the word. The environment where the altar is has to be elevated. It has to be in an elevated space, holy ground, so to speak, right? So if we have other days that interfere with the elevated environment, your ancestors, your Nasabi, they're going to respect the rules of the spiritual realm, whereas we don't. If you already got, I think, I feel, it could me. We got to get rid of all that I and that me, and get the collective mindset of we. Why? Because I'm in the all, all is in me. I'm a part of the all, and all is a part of me. So that means that's a oneness that has to be done, not a selfishness, but a selflessness. You lose the physical self and gain the spiritual, that spiritual mindset, that mind link with the higher realm. And it can't be done if you have other days that are going to interfere with the energy that's going to emanate from your home. I pray that's clear. You had a question online?
Yeah. Speaking of disembodied spirits,
All right.
it's seen people encounter these beings,
Yes.
easily because they're step on this plane. So does that beings, our relatives, hopefully have a vast fast on their other side, making it more difficult to contact. Thus, we have to strengthen our rituals and get on our terms because they have moved on and they are not stuck here on this plane, if that makes sense.
All right. It did, but if you could, can you read, just start over again, but something you said in the middle I was trying to hear?
Okay.
Just read it over again for
All right, no doubt. Right. Speaking of disembodied spirits, it seems people encounter these days easily because they're stuck on this plane. So does that mean our relatives possibly have a vast all?
stop. The question is, so does that mean that our relative possibly have an advance over that? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. It's going.
That our relatives possibly has a vast all there of a side, making it more difficult.
All right, this one to the other side. I got it. Go ahead, regress. I get you going. I'm going to regress. I got it.
Making it more difficult to contact. Thus, we have to strengthen our rituals and get on how they're told because they have moved on and they are not stuck here on this plane.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
All right. Now, what we have to understand, when we first come to mind of our Anasab, our relatives, any one of our relatives on both our mother's and father's side, going back 4 generations, that's your great-great-great-grandparents on both sides, they're already assigned to you. So no matter where they advance onto, that blood seed link makes them, those are the ones that you could draw to you first. But as I read in like on Sites of Life and Death, even the mother or the feminine of our race can reach back and all the way to the very first physical being in our family line. So even if they have advanced on to the other side is right here. The only difference is we can't see it physically because our eyes move too slow. Our mind has not accepted the reality that the realms are right next to each other. I'm going to read that later on in class. The realms are right next. In other words, if we, in a heightened spiritual state, say we just woke up today and we read something and we had a DNA explosion, and now we're in an elevated spiritual mindset, we would see these spiritual beings that trapped here moving around. Just don't look at them, because if we look at them, they don't look at you, and they're going to try to come to you. So we go to the disembodied spirits. We'll read that in a minute. But as far as our ancestors, our relatives who have advanced on, if it's within the first 4 generations, they're still here. Those are the 29 to 30 voices that you hear sometimes, and you think it's your idea. So once you learn your true tone, you can call on them. And those are the ones, as my brothers Rock Kwame asked earlier, right? Those would be the ones that you could call and have it personify in front of you. And then you could ask them to go get the other one. So just because they've advanced on, that just means they're existing in the spiritual plane and they're not trapped in this physical plane or this universe. That's all that means. But those that have gone on and broken free of this particular plane of existence, they're still right there. It's not an up or down. It's just a thinning out, a lightening of the frequency and the dimensions and the density. That's the word, density. They are less dense. Where they exist now is a lesser density. The same way we are breathing in water. Rather than one minute or not, we breathe water. It's a light form of water called what? Air. Oxygen. Air. Which is what? What's oxygen? Oxygen is a less dense form of water. But we started off in the water. Then we ascended onto land, so now we breathe a lighter form of water. It's the same thing. On that higher plane of existence, they can still come to you. It's just we, like you said, like you just read, we have to really take our spiritual practices seriously. And let's read a little bit about how you can become trapped, or how can you get out or break that trap, break free. Again, where you mention shit, it's a thick process. Verse 205, Master Teacher talking about how spirits can get trapped in this realm. 205. This is how spirits get trapped after death in this physical dimension. 206. They are attached by their desires or lusts, greeds, loves, angers, hates, and killings. 207. So once they depart their physical body, their spirits are trapped. Those are the disembodied spirits. You hear it in the word, disembodied spirits. Spirits, this is against or without a body. Disembodied spirits. All right? Now, 208. No one can help them. Thus, they become wicked ghosts, demons, even ghouls. This is more on the Kakasu, but we're talking about out there that becomes trapped by way of their desires, lust, greed, hates, etc. Right? Then the Master Teacher saying, listen, just because you can describe their fate, don't think it can't befall any of us. So now, 209, you, Nagato, can get trapped as this ship takes place, as the Kakasu will be trapped if they have not mixed their genes with either a Mangala, which is an Asian, Jarbado, which is the East Indian, or Nagato, 210. So now it's time, 24,000 years or 26,000 years for the third dimensional harmonic shift. This Patrak is called dimensional shift. So harmony, harmonic, tone, sounds, something is happening that's making this very planet shift onto the next dimension. If you are not ascending with it, then you are descending from it. We have to be on point on which direction we're going. Now, so now's the time. Third dimension, that's us here, third dimensional harmonic shift. 211, where the wormhole is made between Earth and Razakat risk Earth's ascension to a higher state or level. The prepared beings. We have a Dakar in flesh who came to prepare us for these events that is befalling the planet and the befalling the energy grid around the planet now, right now. He's been here for how many decades teaching us, preparing us, warning us, guiding us, and we don't want to listen, some of us. But let's keep walking, go to the listening. Earth's ascension to a higher state or level. The prepared beings can cross over to the wormhole of time and space. I just read in Cycle Life and Death, you'll be able to go to time and space. See how all this is connected, yet they will read this information, apply it to the mental to understand and comprehend it in its totality. So when you read it in another part of rock or scroll, you are the master putting the pieces together so it becomes real to you. Let's keep walking. It's not going to be too much longer. So, the Earth's ascension to a high state of level. The prepared beings can cross over the wormhole of time and space to, and its number, 76 trillion miles of time, 212. Yet, you must know the ritual needed. Someone has to teach us the ritual. Someone has to be a master to teach us the ritual. Someone has to know the master's secrets. Let's keep walking. The beings, I'm going to start over. Yet, you must know the ritual needed. The beings needed, the tone needed, with all the right persons at the right time and place, or all is in vain. 213. Know this, that what can trap you is you, and to what you attach yourself or being. 214. I'll stop here. 214. Ascension is the path, sarat, of order, that consciousness evolves. Multi-dimensional energy mechanics of the mind, MIND, to mind, MINE, from mental through a structural, multi-dimensional system, representing universal order through which consciousness experience beings. That's my point. When you elevate your self-consciousness enough, you'll be able to experience beings, but it has to be the right ritual, which will be your altar setup. Has to be the beings needed. You, the kids, and the memory of your family, not the disembodied spirits, right? The tone needed. When we pray, chant, and speak in our language, we achieve the tone. What's the body's tone? A. Tone A. All right, so let's share tone A. You wasn't vibrating on the right tone. Needed. With all the right persons at the right time and place. What's the right time and place? When you say, I'm going to set the altar up. Be prepared for that right time. Place. The place where the altar is has to be right. It cannot have other things that are going to interfere with the tone. Place. For all is in vain, meaning you're going to be trying it, and to you, you're not receiving the results. That's because the preparation is not right yet. So that's what we work on, the spiritual practices to perfect it, right? Now, again, and what can trap you is you. So we can't fault anybody else for any of our spiritual rituals, practices, and exercises that don't work. We can only say it's my fault. Let me do a self-check. That's not to blame or begrudge yourself. Let me do a self-check. I did this. Or maybe I did not do that. Yep, go to that. That should be there. Remove it. Then do what you should do. And now you're going to realize, I'm doing it right. How do you know? Because the multi-dimensional system, which represents universal order. The universal order is what I'm talking about when I say those beings who have already ascended have rules. That's universal order. And they're not going to break the rules, because if you don't go in order, you now get birth to chaos. Now, the universal order through which consciousness experiences being. So by the way, the raising of your consciousness by the constructs and the rituals that we had, you would experience these beings who no longer physically exist with us, but yet they still exist. I pray that's clear. We have any other questions?
No.
So let's go to when I was talking about the four beings, the four parts of self. They're all divine. Let's go over that real quick. And we'll get some questions. If not, you can end it a little earlier, a little weather, kind of that. But I appreciate y'all. I am not gonna hold y'all. Y'all want to stay and we stay. But we do just read this. This is coming out of the bill. Master teacher had a class for the atomic. I'm skip because it's very long. I will skip to the part that addresses the 4 parts of us. That's the part I'm going to touch on. Let's see. Give me a moment.
Please say us something. Really ears shall.
Let's I'll find one time long. He gets into the adder, gets in the ether. Father talks about all of that, reincarnation, pre-science, telepathy, which going to use domestic dealing around, that's less non-invasive resistance. The natural owner expresses back. Then it's a secret, like all 5 to 7. Use this as your pure idea about dreams are true. It explains dreams. Oh, here we go. Okay. We want to start with one question before that, and then he goes into the other part, right? So this is the question that someone asked the master teacher. Question. So, some of our dreams are real? Answer. Yes, some are. Visions, warnings, and experiences. And you can learn to navigate them. Visit the past, yet when you visit the future, you lose life in this life. Question. What does that mean? Answer. If you travel to the past, in return, nothing is lost of your life. Now, yet if you travel to the future, for every moment you're there, you lose a year of this life, and the memory of it is lost to you as a warning, so that time is not altered. That could be explained in detail in another class, or ask me. Just let you know, he said, Bob said he's going to explain that in detail in another hereafter class later. So make note of this. Each person alive consists of 4 divine beings, all interpenetrating and coexisting. All atoms, regardless of the 9 variant mutational rates, are constructed generally in the same way. And because atoms are almost a tiny empty space and separated from one another by relatively large distances, the 4 divine beings of a person simultaneously coincide in space. The component atoms respective to each being commingle without interference with one another. So we'll understand. Okay, a person's physical body is the one of which he is commonly aware of. Yes, both males and female. The physical body is subject to time, temperature, and the chemical equilibrium, unique to the slowest rotational rate. We went over this in this class and other classes. Here, on the physical realm, we are the slowest rotational rate. We're the heaviest, we're the densest, we're the slowest, right? Only the physical plane, only here, is subject to time, where time is a function of matter, and vice versa. Without matter, there can be no time. Without time, there can be no matter. Next question. So, without time, do we exist? Answer. Only the physical you, not all your other divine beings. They do not depend upon time or place to exist. Bashar, flesh, body, physical person, one of the 4 beings. That's 1. The second with 2. The next highest being of mortal beings functions on the second plane of existence, which is known as the spiritual plane. This being of human beings is called the vital, V-I-T-A-L, the vital being, coalesces a physical body and determines its shape. This is how your nafash, or the nafash paka'ah, the spirit being, this is your personality, because the physical body, part of that, is constantly aging and breaking down. And by its telomeres, cell builders, renewing itself with the chemicals provided. It renews itself with the chemicals that are provided in your food, air, and water. The vital being maintains the pattern so that you are recognizable from month to month on the Akak Malan etheric abode. is also the energy which sustains vegetable, pa, nasus, apap, tenut, a spark of life. The spirit being, vital being, is within the seed, pa, sharash, the root of every growing thing. And as the vital being regulates the healing process after wounds and or disease. Here's the third one now. Number 3. The next being, which is higher in both the physical and the spiritual being. The next being higher, which is next above spirit or vital being, is known as the soul plane. This being of human beings who still have one, the astral being. The nutational frequency components atoms is of the third above resistant. This is your ruach or rup ha ba'a. Well, at the beginning of the class. Soul, spirit, spirit. Now, the soul being, this is your divine connection to the oversoul. This is the abode and being human only used at the depth. It's your emotional being, your divine you. It complexes the deities your illuminated being, the astral or soul being corresponds to. The common concept of what is called the soul, not to be mistaken for the spirit. They're not the same. And this abode or plane of nawar, light of mortals, or aura, that light that you have around, that's your aura, right? And changes color in accordance to one's mood. Some person, here's a bit little deeper now. Some persons of clairvoyant ability who have gained glimpses of the transcendent and radiant beauty of this plane, that's the soul blade, he did glimpses of it, exist and gave rise to the beautiful concept of heaven or haven, the docking abode above, the place of the light thereafter. So now, when you talk about these different beings, right? You got soul on the third, and then the fourth is the like that oversoul, what makes it feel like you experience the dreams of heaven, which is a doctoral point, to the heaven. So the next question goes on to something else, like how can you visit this, et cetera, et cetera. But to know that they're all parts of us, and all of them are divine. So why do we mistreat the lowest one, the youngest part of us, the physical? Why do we cater to things that don't exist in the realms we're heading toward? That's how we get trapped, because we get addicted to things on this plane that does have no effect, because can't exist on the next plane, unless you want to become trapped, right? So we have to avoid that by having, again, dietary discipline, mental discipline, the ability to accept the reality that there are other dimensions that exist and our families are there. Once you accept that and really accept it, becomes more than just words. Once you accept that and you start to get those glands lined up, you will experience, I read it in 2 different places, you will experience these beings in real time. As we calculate, because we're the only ones where time matters, because time is matter. Without time, there'd be no matter. Without matter, there'd be no time. So we exist in a space that predates matter. How can you not accept that we are deities in flesh? And this is the shortest journey of our existence. If we always stood that, we would treat each other a lot better. I know we would. You have any other questions? Y'all good? Yeah, go ahead.
What is Wu-Sabat and Wu-Sabat?
All right, so Wu-Sabat, right, would be our culture. I'm gonna make it simple, then we're gonna delve into it a little bit. When you hear Wu-Sabat, that's our culture. Wu-Sabat, we consider the spiritual or the religion side. When I say the word religion, I know those of you who may be watching or listening, you may regress back to what they're talking about, the 3 monotheistic religion. That's not that at all. Our religion, in terms of a word, would be likened to the word animism, which simply means of or relating to the soul. So Wu-Sabat and Wu-Sabat, they're actually merging, giving us the spiritual science, as it were, the culture and the spiritual aspects of us, right? So there was an edict on what we would have, right? These small parents. That in one of them, number 5, it talks about, it's called ethics. This is number 5 and 6 together. We want to read a little bit of this. So, all right. so-called Sabian ethics or Sabian ethics. Number 5. First and foremost, we as Wu-Sabat Sabians live for, of, and by each other. Free will choice. 1. The precepts of Wu-Sabat are grounded in the right knowledge, the right wisdom, the right understanding, and the right overstanding by the use of sound, right reasoning with truth, facts, justice, and faith, F-A-T-E. Number 2, we Wu-Sabat Sabians are imbued, I-M-B-U-E-D, imbued with literalism and chafash or chafush, free choice, not blind but not faith to the Wu-Sabat Sabians. Truth is truth, fact is fact. 3, we Wu-Sabat Sabians teach our audience to accept these actual facts of Wu-Sabat freely, to elect your way wisely, and choose your Mustafa friends, Mu'amu teachers, and like-made intelligently. We have to do these things intelligently. 4, we Wu-Sabat Sabians recognize the individuality and uniqueness of these individuals, mind, atal. We recognize the Wa'at eagles from the Wa'way, good, races by their Jawed wicked, unnatural nature. 5, we Wu-Sabat Sabians at the same time emphasize each race's collective identity through natural nature's rule of the different species of much the same physical attributes, yet with their own natural or unnatural habits. Number 6, we Wu-Sabat Sabians see it as a Shabbat tribe. I read the legend Sabian book about Wahoo Shabbat, one tribe, right? Yasar, family, membership for a community, country, and way of life, as well as our Azat culture and custom. 7, we Muwapu, notice I said Sabians, you know what I'm saying? Muwapu is because it's one. It's different aspects of the same thing, which is our culture, right? So we Muwapians make note of the fact that although unique, each humanoid species, Khadar, which is destiny, is interwoven with the life and cultures of life on this one planet of each people's own rights of choice to avoid the dangers and accept the acceptable person. And people's faith is their own conviction, and Nakar, respect their race's right to be wrong. We will also say, as Sabians, we respect anybody's right to think they're right. It's not our job to go around and, just bash. That's not what we're doing. We're saying we are giving you the actual facts, but you have the freedom of choice to intelligently decide if you want to accept it or not. 8, we Muwapi respect all who respect us. All are equal in status as opposed to illiteracy and Da'at or Gahalan, which is ignorance. And condemn, we condemn intimidation and oppression of any kind to anyone, to each their own conscience. 9, being Wu-Sabat Sabian state all have a minds. This is the faculty with which a person can fa'or or akbar, think and not reason before making a decision, and the moral faculty with which a civil person can pursue an ethical way of life and living. With these faculties, humanoids are able to distinguish right from wrong and virtuousness from wickedness. Not all who look human are civil by author nature. Some are humanoid hybrids with beasts and think and act like the bad beasts toward other races. The Mu'adam Adamites are unnatural by their very nature, a kind of man's kin. Truth is truth, fact is fact. No faith can replace facts. That's just number 5. I can read number 6. Again, we as Wu-Sabat Sabians live for others by each other, and this one is called being aware. 1. Wu-Sabat Sabians of Wu-Sabat know that aware is awareness, or being aware, better said. Hanu, care, And I said, now, right now, I'm aware of myself, where I am, what I am doing, where I have been, and what I have experienced. I am aware. 2, I'm aware of or at feelings by the namus, touch, contact, such as lahal, pleasure, pain, hunger, thirst. These are physical awarenesses. 3, I am aware of need, desire, love, hate. These are mental awarenesses. 4, I am aware of my surroundings. This is to be aware that wherever I am personally, I am the Kabat center. All things, places, and persons are around me. I am the point from whom all is equally distant from all points. Let me stop right there. Do you understand that? What the center be? Maybe you're the center. So everything is the distance for you. And I ask how far the door is. The answer will be from me to the door is whatever. The sister next to her answer will be different. The brother behind this can't. Mine has to be different because we are the center. Everything centers from us outward, right? Number 5, I am aware that I am in control of all things around me insofar as how close or how far, when it is, and how I am, and how I move from my point as the center. So I am aware of this. I am aware. 6, I am aware that all others are also their own center. Yet not aware that actual fact, nor that I'm aware of them, he or she. Now, what does that mean? That means I'm aware of me. If I have no aware, nor if you're aware of me. But you know you're aware of you. Just like you had no awareness that I'm aware of you until we made contact and read each other, etc., right? So now, 7, I'm aware of those who claim to care for me, those who claim to love me. I am not aware if that is the truth or a lie. Yet I'm aware of how I feel about others. 8, I'm aware, and being aware of my own being, I can build it or destroy it. I can protect my being or allow it danger. I can keep my being healthy or I can poison it. Number 9, right? Number 9, I'm aware of the fact that I am unique. And even if I procreate another human being with another human being, that each is unique. Each is a center, and from that center is choice, which is a change of thoughts. And I am aware that is the only certain thing outside and inside of my being. I am aware of Bayur, change. Truth is truth, fact is fact. No faith can replace that. So hold that address, what and who we are, as Sayyidis, as Uwakis, Sayyidis, as Uwakis, either one. It depends on where you find an attraction to, but the completeness of our doctrine, of our culture, you can be in the what we're saying. All right? Yeah, that's a question. You have any other question? You're good? Milan, you see you there. Oh. Yeah.
Not my phone went off.
All right, keep my name on side too. Okay, give y'all a minute. I appreciate y'all helping me there. Sure.
We touch base on a lot of things I've been going through. So I'm trying to listen to what you're saying. See, I'm thinking about, oh, this just happened to me. I just had that spirit, And so it's not that I'm not paying attention. I'm trying to absorb and then reflect.
Exactly.
And you touch base on so many things.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming to that. I definitely do. Nope. Okay. All right. Oh,
Question. What is the adder?
okay. Now, we will give you the shorter bit, and then we're going to the more lengthy expression. So, question is, what is an atom? ATOM, right? So now, we have to clearly define an atom, what it really is, what is it phonetically similar to. So now, the English word atom, ATOM. In our ancient language, it was atum, ATUM. From atum, the pre-existing one, all the way to atom, the chemical element, and then from the chemical element, insert religious circles, atom derives that. So you got atom, and atom. Now, let's go into another class where the question was asked of the master teacher, what is an atom? Give me a minute to find it. We'll read that. If you call it, there's no other question. And you're saying outside. You're looking good Sundays. You are good. Right. Right. Okay. This is that class again. The master teacher's being asked question. Question. Supreme Being Danu, can you speak to us, your children of the Arab, ATOM, please? Answer. Well, first things first, as you, Pa Mungadu, Nagada Nadu, are all supreme beings. Dahem Pafat, understand that? Question. Adam is English for Atum, the true natural nature of existence you once taught us, right? Answer. Yes, that is the actual fact. Do you remember what I taught of how an atom is constructed? Question. Kind of. Can you tell us again? Would you morbid? Answer. Well, for starters, jewels of my eyes, remember, it's a positive center and electrons that are negative and go in circles around the center. Question. And what are the electrons? Answer. Bits of matter. Question. Master teacher, what does that really mean? I'm not certain. Answer. Actually, electrons, bats, and other subatomic particles, zarut, aren't in the least bit solid. They are bundles of energy. The charges of electricity they are represented to possess are merely a convenience to explain certain attractions and repulsive relations to charge and magnetic fields. Question. Are they moving? Answer. Yes. Every particle within an atom moves in an orbit. Even the proton in the atom's nucleus travels at a very tight orbit, which determines its apparent diameter. Question. Is that the only movement? Answer. No. In addition to orbiting, there's another motion with all subatomic particles, and this motion is called nutation, and it's very important for you all to understand nutational motion. Question. Why, Master Teacher? Answer. Because it is the very key to the secrets of this one universe and the complete omniverse, or all that is every subatomic particle spins about its own internal axis of rotation. You see, each particle in this physical omniverse experiences a nutation period of precisely the same rate. Question. Yeah, I know him. What does that mean? Well, it means that each subatomic particle of matter and each quantum particle of electromagnetic energy spins upon its own axis, just the way this planet Earth turns on its poles, and that all these axes wobble at one constant rate, regardless of the energy or mass of the particles. And it's important that you all distinguish between spinning and orbiting. Although all particles spin, those particles which also travel in closed orbits comprise matter, whereas energy particles travel in straight lines. Energy can be converted to matter and vice versa. Yet, the nutational rate of these particles never varies, nor is there any physical power in this universe which can alter the nutational rate one witness. Overstand and understand that? Question. No, not really, Master. Yet I ask, can you make it clear for this class, please? Answer. Well, as you will all see, material matter is essentially a concept of the sense receptors, which themselves are of the same matter. This very world and everything in it is composed of atoms. Yet atoms are only packages of energy, whose seam, solidity, and integrity are due to the circular motions of their components. An atom is almost entirely empty space, consisting of a central blob of whirling energy sheathed by the origin operation, and the orbiting electrons described a more or less spherical shell of energy. Yet students do not imagine that the shell can make the atom a hollow ball or some concreteness. Yet the actual fact is the emptiness in which the subatomic particles exist can be visualized by the supposition that I.B. the nucleus of an atom, when enlarged by the size of the solar system, a sun in the shell, described by its electron, would be 12 times greater than the diameter of the solar system. You see, a pound of element Fe of 26 iron, which seems quite solid, and partnered by comparatively vast reaches of emptiness, and this illustration also applies to your own bodies. The cells which comprise your tissues, nerves, and blood are the same intangible swirls. Students enrolled, do you have these concepts pretty well in mind? You see, because on, well, he's going on to quantum now, so I'll stop. But the atom itself is comprised of the nutational rate, also comprised of the orbit. So that's why the NASA teacher said we have to know the difference when we talk about an atom between spinning and orbit, because you can be orbiting something while you're spinning. An example would be the Earth in 23 hours and 56 minutes and 6 seconds, or rounded up 24 hours, it's spinning. That's why you have what's called day and night. But in addition to the spinning of the Earth itself, it's also orbiting the sun. You see? So when it comes to the atom, it's comprised of the same motion, a spin, rotational rate, also orlay of the elements that are around and comprise the states of the atom. I pray that answered the question. I don't want to get too far into that. That's what the atom was. All right. Again, originally atom was atom, one Apollo, not dark. All right, do we have any more questions? No? No? Any more questions in the room? No? I'm good, big. You sure? It's good to see me. I'm glad you came. I mean, it's your first time. We welcome it. Feel free to come back. We're Sundays, all right? With that, we're going to end today's questions against the class. That's one moment. You make sure that I give the grace and the reverence to you all for coming, as well as Kwakao. What come? All right, so next week we're going to have another question answer class. I realize though, Cam, that a lot of people may not have come because they was the conference call. It got rescheduled to today. So that's probably why I was going to be there. But we'll again continue our class next week. Why do one show?